Welcome back, New Jersey wrestling fans, to On the Mat, presented by the Mat Pack here at the Sports Fan Base Network. Mark Trible, your host, joined, as always, by Brett Fetty, and a special guest host today, Ralph Ross Jr.
Great to be here with two of my favorite people to talk wrestling with.
And we're going to do that in a second, Ralph. When we come back, we're going to take a look at all the state title matches that happened this weekend in Toms River, so stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. Let's get down to business here. We had the state titles. Last week we had all the playoffs. It went from sectionals, went 8 teams, down to 4, down to 2. And then we had state semifinals on Sunday and state finals on Sunday night. First off, Group 1, Brett. Take me through this here. I was there, Paulsboro 32.
Paulsboro Red Raiders, yeah. Paulsboro Red Raiders won their 31st overall state title. Congratulations to Paulsboro. They won in bouts against Emerson Park Ridge. They denied them their second state title. They beat them in bouts 8-6. But the key thing is they were 2-1 in the close, 2-1 in the close bouts, which means 1 or 2 point matches. So Paulsboro finds a way and they get it done. And the big match was Giorgio Mazzio beat Logan Mazzio, and it was a 5-2 decision because there were wrestlers that were pretty evenly matched going in. But that that got it done.
Yeah, that did get it done.
And they find a way.
Well, when you started out there, it looked like Paulsboro it was a really close match when all was said and done, but Paulsboro built such a lead. They had 3 tech falls, 2 major decisions, and really beat things up there. And then at the end, Emerson Park Ridge kind of fought back. They get the decision. Ralph, you're familiar with this roster and with this team. The middleweights for Paulsboro, how good are they?
They're really tough. They're going to be tough to beat, and that's going to be their strength. And they're young, and they're going to be around for a while. I think Emerson Park is one of the better teams in the state, and they were two of the better teams in the state. That match at 13 was a definite swing match, and I to be honest with you, I would probably give in going into the match Emerson Park the edge there. But like you said, Paulsboro's been there, a zillion times, and they've proven that they can do it. It was a battle of 2 of the greatest coaches, 1 and 2 in state, and victories between Coach Marina and Coach Woods. I think they have 3,000 each, so they're just battling back and forth.
Now, did he have the sweater on?
He did.
He did have the sweater. And Ralph, you had 181, is that right?
181. But if you want to really go to it, me and my dad are the winningest combinations father-son team. Boom.
That's right. So there you go. There you have it. Father-son, you guys got under control.
Yes.
But in terms of all over the map, there were 2 great coaches, and even Paul Marino mentioned it. His first state championship came in '86 against Emerson, against Woods. He wrestled against him for Bob Fredericks in the postseason before when he was a wrestler at Paulsboro. So they go back certainly a long way. He said it meant a little bit more to face him because of their longevity and obviously the win total.
Great season by Emerson Park Ridge. I mean, they beat Hunter and Central.
Yeah.
Top 10 team, which really kind of opened up some eyes. But they gave Paulsboro a great match, and hey, Paulsboro came out on top. Paulsboro finished 21-0 this year, I think.
I think it was
undefeated season for Paulsboro. So congratulations to Paulsboro. And I know you'll see a bunch of Paulsboro wrestlers down in Atlantic City.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it earlier. It was probably, I think, first glance, maybe 4 kids who could win regions, I think, maybe even more. So we'll get to that in a couple weeks. That's when the heavy lifting really gets done. You look at Group 2, this was really the dual meet of the day in Toms River. High Point beats Raritan 30-25. And even these semifinals were close. Raritan beat Hanover Park 34-32. High Point beat Point Pleasant Borough 31-29. This one, Raritan's out 25-6. They start off. And they get to 220. They win there. That's when they get the lead. It ends at 132, and it really did come down to the last bout. Billy Talmadge, 5-3 decision against A.J. Irvin. Had a takedown. Is up 2-1 going into the third. Gets a takedown. Gets an escape, then a takedown to build his lead. The crowd was crazy from both sides.
I think High Point had them right where they wanted them.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They come from behind. I was there 3 years ago when they needed all pins out. They needed to pin out 5 weight classes against Hanover Park to do it, and they did. But Johnny Gardner, I saw him roaming the sidelines in his jeans, his backpack, and his flannel, and he got it done 30-25. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, Johnny Gardner was a heck of a wrestler, wasn't he?
He was a stud wrestler, and he probably pranced around when he was in high school. High Point, he has had some of the best teams in the history of the state. There was a couple of years ago when they had 4 or 5 state champs in the lineup, and the lineup was just ridiculous. But High Point,
state champs.
High Point, that Group 2 is what the group should have been. It's very balanced. Any one of those teams could have won it at any time. It's what the group should be like if there were 4 groups, like there should be.
And that's High Point's fifth state title overall. So their program, they're always there. If they're not, if they're not winning it, they're always pretty much in that mix for sectional titles as well.
They were undefeated in state New Jersey, right? Their only loss was Pennsylvania.
Yep, 24-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where they wrestled, I think it was 5 o'clock. You could tell the atmosphere was great. Everybody was into it. Both fan bases traveled real well, especially Raritan, so hats off to those folks. But when it was over, the air just went out of that building. I mean, for Delsey, South Plainfield late, and for the non-public A final, I mean, it was just a different atmosphere. There was no atmosphere.
It was a repeat of last year, because last year that had happened. Hal wrestled 100 Central in that, which should have been, that happened this year in the sectional finals, probably should have been the state final. Last year was the state final. After that match, same thing. The 7 o'clock matches, that's tough. You're there all day, and 7 o'clock is the state final. So it does. The air's out of the building at that point.
Yeah, it changed around a little bit, too, this year, where Paulsboro wrestled their championship at 2 o'clock. So they were they'd been home. They were asleep by the time the final one ended.
I would like to have that spot if I was a coach.
Yeah, go 9 and then 2 and get out, right?
Yeah, get there 31 times. It takes precedent, I think.
Yeah, I think they know the way they like their schedule to be.
Yeah,
They've been there so many
good for
times.
It works. Yeah.
Group 3, we mentioned it, South Plainfield and Delsey. South Plainfield really kind of rolls 48-23. These are 2 teams that seem to be there at the end. The Tigers started off hot. They had 5 pins on the day. They started off at 106 with a tech fall, really set the tone. I thought South Plainfield, a three-peat, clearly the class of Group 3.
Yep, and I'll tell you what, I give credit to both coaches because these aren't like peak years for Delsey or South Plainfield, but they're in the state finals.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. So Sawyer always has his kids ready, and South Plainfield, I knew they have a new coach. I'm like, what's South Plainfield? The name escapes me, their coach. But that being said, a down year, but they still won states.
Matt Anderson still assistant coach there?
I don't know. The one
Walk
with
around with his
headgear on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He didn't take that headgear off. I think he still coaches with that headgear on.
That's South Plainfield's 11th state title.
Yeah, they have been extraordinary, and you could tell when they were there they expected to win it. Both these teams lumped up their opponents in the semifinals. It was very clear that was the 2 we were going to get. Delsey, a team that I don't think anybody really knew what to make of them throughout the season, and Coach Greg Sawyer even said afterwards, to get there, a lot of people counted them out. They got where they expected to be. They came up short against a very good team, but they were there at the end.
I think that Coach Sawyer did a great job. I mean, they were injuries and some skin conditions. They were forfeiting a lot of weight classes. I really think he did a fabulous job coaching. To get them to the state finals is remarkable, and that's coaching. And I think they have a state title, and that's they won it on coaching. They're a great coaching staff. They find ways to win with lesser teams.
Yeah, when Group 3, when we get to see what the alignment's like next year, take out the pencil. Let's say South Plainfield, Delsey, probably be in Toms River regardless, right?
Probably. Yep.
When we come back, we're going to look at Group 4 and Group 5 and talk a little bit about one of our favorite topics. Are there too many groups? I think we're all in agreement with the answer. But hang on, and we'll be back after this to explore the topic.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
And welcome back to On the Mat. Let's take a look at some of the other groups that we had in championships here on Sunday at Toms River. Group 4, Phillipsburg. No stranger to the championship round, no stranger to championships. They get number 22 with a 35-21 win over Long Branch. State liners here start out 25-0. They start at 138. Cody Harrison pin. Jason Zinsmeister pin at 45. Josh Ramos gets a major. Brian Meyer gets a major. Lance Wissing tech fall. At that point, The State Liner faithful is going nuts.
Them no names from Peaburg. No, I'm only kidding. I already did apologize for that. But they won 8 bouts to 6, and they bonused in 6 of them. So there's a difference right there. You build that lead up 25-0, and that's kind of your own cruise control. You still have Travis Jones later in the match, and you still have one of the I forgot.
Right.
One of the wrestler 130.
We said there are no names.
Yeah, one of those names. No, but they ended the match on a high note, and this is overall it's their 22nd state title. To be a school that big, and you have Brick Memorial, Huntington Central coming after you every year. I know Long Branch had a good run before. They had these schools going at them every single year, and I think there's only 1 year or 2 years that they didn't win a sectional. So something to be said for that.
Yeah.
And I think I saw they had a parade going home. I saw someone sent me a video of it. I didn't know whether there was a 50-car pile-up that they were going to, but it was a parade because I saw the bus at the end. But that's just tradition, and that's why they win, because that town, those kids, they live for that, and the town lives for it. And I'll tell you what, you don't think that has something to do with them winning all the time? That definitely does.
Yeah, absolutely. Phillipsburg and Paulsboro, I mean, between them, that's 53 state championships.
Yeah, I mean, you could debate who is the wrestling town in New Jersey. Phillipsburg has done it in the bigger groups, but Paulsboro, I mean, you talk about a town that revolves around, but Phillipsburg certainly has revolved around it.
You're
And here's the
splitting
thing.
hairs
Here's
there.
the thing between Paulsboro and Phillipsburg, and you could go. There's kids in the hallways in other schools that don't wrestle, that are good wrestlers. They've wrestled their whole lives, that play football or they're doing this. Doesn't happen at Phillipsburg and Paulsboro because it's not that it's just expected, and they want to. You don't have to drag them out of the hallways, and that's what makes them who they are. I mean, between the two, I mean, you think of New Jersey wrestling, you think of Phillipsburg, Paulsboro, and with all the success that the Catholic schools are having nowadays, it's just not as tradition rich. And I don't want to take away from anything because the Bergen Catholic team is just ridiculous. But that's those Phillipsburg people have seen. All those people up there have probably seen all 27 state championships. Same as Paulsboro people.
Yeah, absolutely. They know their way to the state finals. I got to say, Phillipsburg in the semifinals, I was covering Highland and Long Branch, which Long Branch won 49-21. Phillipsburg was wrestling on the other mat against Roxbury. They had a couple, maybe 3 first period pins in a row. I mean, it was like bam, bam, bam. Coach Post was going nuts. The crowd was going nuts. I'm like, man, Phillipsburg just pins everybody. Yeah. I mean, they bonus their way to this championship.
It probably caused Post to bring off his suit jacket, which he looks very nice on the side.
Nice maroon tie. Everything was pretty spiffy for Phillipsburg on Sunday. You couldn't complain about anything at all. Group 5 was the championship that we had. Now, let's walk it back to Friday night first and look at Howell, Huntington Central, which really we expected that. We talked about that. That would be the de facto state championship in Group 5. Really, it was.
A 29-20 win for Howell.
Yeah, Howell was down 20-13 with 5 bouts left. They got a major from Jerry Leshy at 113, 16-8. That sparked the run. They got 4 decisions to cap it out and beat the Red Devils. That was great. But against Southern, they took care of Southern.
Yeah.
They beat them 33-15 and really took care of it up top, 38-82, middle to up top.
They won 9 bouts. They bonused in 3. And Southern had a really good year. They had a tough match against Kingsway in the sectional final. I think they beat them by 4, and that came down to 1 or 2 matches. But when they're wrestling against Howell in the finals, which we should have seen at them, Howell, Huntington Central, which would have been a more drama in the finals. But you want the best people in the finals. But they changed sections, and last year it was a final. This year it was a section final. So but Hal took care of business. They're only it's their second state title.
Yeah,
and that's what we'll get in the discussion about how many groups are too many groups.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that. But
I'll
they're
say
undefeated, 32-0.
Yeah.
That's their record. Hal.
When you talk about Howell and Huntington Central being the state championship in Group 5, what should have been, it just makes it that much more impressive. That High Point beat Huntington Central, Group 2 school. That's a pretty impressive win for a Group 2 school. When you talk about the North Jersey schools, the Howell, Southerns, Phillipsburgs, all those teams, when you're going through the lineup, and as a coach you go through the lineup and you're like, we're going to give up 6 here. And I hate to say that because there are spots. Those big-time teams, Paulsboro, Phillipsburg, they don't have those kids in the lineup. They don't give up 6.
Yeah.
No.
And that's the difference between their tradition and, I mean, you could look back at all. I know Paulsburg's history a little bit more than Phillipsburg's history, but they got JV kids that beat region place winners or don't get pinned. It's just it's just what's emphasized. And you go through a lineup, and I would say like a Kingsway at South Jersey, and they're going to be good. They got good mitts. But when you're going through Kingsway versus like Phillipsburg or Kingsway versus Southern, there's some pins in that Kingsway lineup that you're going to get pinned. There's not in Southern, in Phillipsburg, and those schools.
No, and even when I talked to Coach Marina after Paulsboro won, and this is the third year in a row we had this interview, and every time it's, well, I thought if we could stay off our backs, we'd probably win. And they do. He didn't get pins in the middle, which he hoped to get. We got some tech falls, gets the bonus points where he needed them, and they don't get pinned. I mean, that's it. That's the bottom line. When it gets to this time of the season for team meets, state champions don't get pinned.
No.
That's the way it goes.
They don't.
The other thing I want to mention about how the bout of that meet really came at 60. Kind of the loudest reaction I saw. It was an oddest scene. Xavier Kelly beats Nicholas O'Connell 8-7.
Oh, yeah.
O'Connell of Southern gets a takedown at the buzzer. Southern's going nuts. They think that maybe they've swung something. Overruled by the other official. Howe goes nuts. So the Rebels, really the party started right there. And, you know, we talk about how many groups are too many groups. Ralph, you coached when there were 4 groups, Publix, right?
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference now?
First of all, there's 5 groups and 8 teams make the group. They see when the 8th seed upset at the 1 seed last week? No, it's never, ever, ever, ever going to happen. No. Some of the scores are. How do you think Columbia feels when they go to Warren Hills and lose 70-6, or Pittman and Paulsboro? It's not good to get those guys in the playoffs. No. So if you get 4, the only thing I will say, South Jersey Group 5, everyone lower seed 1 except for number 1. But 8 seed, it will never, ever, 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 ever beat a 1 seed. It's not like in football or basketball. You have to upset 6 or 7 kids. Hal's a great program. They got 2 state titles because if this was 10 years ago, they would have had to wrestle Phillipsburg, Southern. They all would have been in the same. They all would have been in the same group.
That's why Hunter Central has 1 state title.
Yes, and, you know, back in the day, Brick Memorial, Phillipsburg, Highland, they were all great teams. And you could take a look at it now. Now, Group 1 was pretty solid. They would have been, but Group 4, Phillipsburg might have been challenged. And would they have won a state title? I don't know. They're Phillipsburg, but they would have been a heavy underdog. So you take a Delsey or one of those Group 3s, they go down to Group 2. It just makes a lot more competitive. And to me, it makes it more rewarding.
And you feel like maybe staying up at Toms River all day instead of leaving at 7 o'clock.
That's right. And I think if you look at the top teams, really in Group 1, we had 2 great teams in Paulsboro, Emerson, Park Ridge. Group 2, we had 4 great teams in the semifinals and the final. Group 3, like you said, down years for both of them.
Yeah.
If things are shifted around, we don't really know what would have happened. But Group 4, look, if Phillipsburg and Howe wrestled in the state championship, I think this year Howe would have beat them. But that would have been a great match. It would have been packed. Yeah. It would have been great.
Right, but it makes it that much more impressive of what Phillipsburg did. Yeah. Nothing, like I said, Sawyer and Maxwell and their coaching staff did a great job. But would they have been in the state finals if there's 4 groups? Probably not. And
I'll tell you what, like you said, this is, in Phillipsburg, even tell you, this probably last 2 years have been kind of down years as far as what they're considered at Phillipsburg, but they won state titles.
Right.
But, and, you know, it just, like you said, it's up for debate. I think a lot of wrestling people believe that there's too many groups.
But if if there had been 4 groups and Phillipsburg would have won, like they did with Mellis was a freshman. He was 0-9. He's worked to Southern. Kids beat him, and he pins them. I'll bet you that state championship is a little bit more rewarding than the other one. I can't say because, but that thing was nuts.
And they didn't beat a West Morris.
That thing was nuts. But it is what it is. Denjay says going to, and the 8 teams. I don't know who they're fooling. Like what's good there? Who's getting the good out of that? Yeah. You could take a look. Go on your computer and look at the 1 through 8. It's who went to those matches.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, and it stinks for the kids that have to get on a bus and drive halfway across the state to just get pounded.
They don't do it in basketball, right? They do it in football. There's an argument now in football. I mean, the thing is, there's too many. You're down there at Rowan, watching South Jersey groups. I mean, there's like 2 of those groups. Like, you know what? Are they the caliber that would have won?
I don't know what the thinking is with the NJSA. Like, they're thinking that it's a good thing for sports. They don't do it in basketball. They don't do it in baseball, right? It's not Group 5 in baseball. So what is your justification for football and wrestling? Because I would really like to sit down and know it. Why is it not baseball? Why is it not basketball? It's not basketball because basketball's pretty untouchable.
My guess is this. They're looking at participation, number of athletes participating in sports. Like, we have a lot of athletes participating. Let's make another state title. Let's get more champions. Yeah. But that's what you're trying to, you really, is it great to have a state title? Yeah. But, it's a team, but is it really, it's just losing its luster is what it's going to do. Eventually, it could just lose, a lot of like what people are going to want to see.
Yeah, and we got a couple questions here that kind of pertain to this, because you talk to coaches all year. They have trouble filling out the weight classes. I mean, they've seen the numbers drop in this sport. Bottom line, this is not a sport of parity. This is a sport about whoever's got the best lineup, that's the team that's going to win. The numbers have dropped. So why would we need more groups? No. There's less people wrestling.
Or weight classes.
Yeah.
During this whole thing, I'm actually still on a group text or a group email from all day. You should see the emails you get. Need a team. Need to pick up a team. Join a quad. We need one more team. You know why? Because they want to get more matches. Because if they don't get more matches, the kids don't get more wins. If they don't get their wins, they're taking their kids and pulling them somewhere else. Yep. There's no need to fill a quad out Friday before. What's the purpose there?
And these records are driving.
Yeah, it's to stay fresh. Don't you think we'd be better off staying fresh, having a good practice? There's teams that are like, it's killing the sport. They should eliminate quads on Saturdays and just go back to the best. Who cares if you have 135 wins? Listen, they did a whole thing in South Jersey for the 100-match winners. The old, like Billy Dykeman had 100 wins. Before him, there were Darryl Burley, Blecko. You think it hurt them? I just think it's trying too much. There's no JV. There's nothing.
I went to Kingsway Cherokee the other night. Good match. They the third time they wrestled, right? Guess what? They forfeited the last three bouts. They forfeited Quinn Kenner because they just didn't want to get the inevitable. He would have pinned someone in 10 seconds. And then afterwards, Kingsway clinched, and Kingsway's like, all right, we're going to forfeit the last two.
That's where
did that ever happen 4 or 5 years ago? No,
because you then clinch. Yeah,
exactly.
But here's the thing. Here's a team like Kingsway who has got some studs. Yeah. They're too spread out. If they were down to 12 weight class, Kingsway would be a lot better team. Now, the good teams, because they got good major programs, and they get. I mean, we went to the Paulsburg Christmas tournament, Betty Voge and John Voge Christmas. Hal had 6,000 kids, and
two at a weight class.
Yeah, but they do that because those kids got. But there's going to be teams and big schools, little schools. They have a tough time filling out lineups because kids don't want to wrestle JV.
Yeah, and Bernadette Jambuzzi asks 2 questions.
Mrs. Boozy.
The first one is, do you think the NJSIA will eventually eliminate a few weight classes? This to maybe 10 or 12 make it more competitive. Here's the sticking point, is that is not an NJSIA decision with the weight classes. The weight classes are decided by the National Federation of High Schools, which is what every public school in the United States goes by. So that's why there's 14 weight classes.
It was funding.
I would hope that the NFHS would reevaluate that, and I think if the numbers continue to drop with participation, they will have to. She also asked, how many state champs could we possibly see from South Jersey? I think we talked right now. 4?
Yeah, I think 4. I mean,
could have 5. There's a possibility of 5.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think we're pretty solid 13 with Manchio. Obviously, Menino's a returning state champion at 20. Kenner,
a whole lot.
Janzer or Marina. I think Martin has thrown himself in the picture.
Brian Martin, yeah.
Martin's going to be number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Cody
Wood, Penfield could win it. At heavyweight, there's possibilities there. Devin Starks from Heinen. I mean, those guys, the guy from South Plainfield and Don Bosco are a little bit more seasoned, but he's a pretty big athlete, and things can happen. I know we're forgetting somebody else. 82. Ravano. I know that. Listen, I know that that's a loaded weight class. That kid's pretty tough. He can do it. He can do it. But I would say Manchio, Menino.
If we're looking at favored,
yeah. I mean, Menino's a returning state champion.
Well, Janzer Marina. Kenner most definitely. And I like Manchio down low as a bottom line 3. Maybe 5.
Yeah, and I don't know.
When
people say that, and I do it myself when I'm talking, and I always forget Menino. But he's a returning state champion. Beat everybody in the weight class.
Beat Howard, yeah.
And you can't leave him out. And Manchio down to 13. I know Clark's returning state champion, but they have a common opponent with what's the kid's name? Semet from Pope John.
Yeah.
Clark beat him 1-0. Manchio beat him 15-0. Manchio, I think, is on a mission. I really like him. The way he's wrestling.
Yeah, Chad Cassidy chimes in, said they had 7 and 89.
Yeah, Chad was one of them. I don't think that was the most. 90, they had 9 one time from 7 and 8.
2002, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, and then we would have guys in finals. And when Chad was there, it was Charlie Moore, and they had wrestled other guys in finals. 7 and 8 was ridiculous, but now they mix up the regions because when they had. But man, South Jersey was pretty darn good with 7 and 8.
That's when they did Absgami was loaded. Paulsburg,
Highland came a Catholic. I mean,
Eastern.
We went through
Eastern.
we went through a time where Eastern had a lot of state champs. Then we had like the Holy Cross threw a couple state champs our way. Delsey. So there was a
Delsey's
time
always
where
had
we Paul Six with the Hershey's. I think the most was when Thomasetti won it.
I think it was 2002.
Yeah, they had like 9.
Because you had the like it was Jeff Black, it was Isaac Redman,
Yeah.
it was Ryan Goodman. I think it was one of the Bridges.
Someone calls in when they had most. They had a ton, and they had a ton in the finals.
Yeah.
Against each
Maybe
other.
Becker was in it.
That was definitely the
Cooper.
heyday for South Jersey. Chad Cassidy also says, and tournament of champions amongst group champions could happen
I
in
love
Publix.
that. Love
Certainly won't happen with parochial schools involved because Bergen Catholic would take advantage of that.
And what's Dom Cameron?
Yeah,
say?
Dom Kama says, do away with parochial schools at states, put them in groups, and go back to 4 groups. Problem solved. 4 groups, I'm certainly all for. And you know what? We talked about this on Sunday. The parochial matches for the state championship. Nothing against the kids who get there; they earn the right to go, whatever.
already
But
predetermined.
there's no atmosphere. There's for Camden Catholic the other night. How many people were going to drive down there, other than just immediate family, to see them wrestle Bergen Catholic? So it's just not quite. It just doesn't quite have the same cachet.
No.
You're right, but I will say this: I don't know. Maybe football's lasted a while. Maybe sometime. I mean, parochial school had been number one. First time was in 2005 with Camden Catholic. So for a long time, parochial. I know they have all the clubs and
they-
everything.
now
Up there. Camden Catholic and St. Augustine, they're loaded and they're getting freshmen coming in, but they're still not. They're getting freshmen from areas of Cumberland, Gloucester County. They're getting.
Yeah, they're jumping.
They're just
Yeah, but
dropping.
if they wanted to follow the Bergen method, I mean, they could just jump on because it takes one good kid to pull another good kid to pull another good kid. And look at that's how Bergen started.
I mean, Bergen Catholic, they're 52. They have 2 kids that are ranked in top.
Yeah. Well, let's hold off on the parochial talk till after one more break. But we got plenty more to talk about, and we're going to talk a little bit about district seating and what all goes into that from guys who were coaching it last year, coaching up kids around this time. So stay tuned on the mat. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and we're going to talk about the parochial schools and what happened in those state championships. First, talk about non-public B. Pope John 23rd is currently around 4th, 5th in the state overall. Beats Holy Spirit 48-21. I will say this for Holy Spirit, Coach Ralph Pallone and his kids. They won 5 bouts. They were scrappy. They certainly did not roll over, even though they knew they would probably come up on the short end. But Pope John had a great year.
Well, they're tough. Fitzpatrick is another kid who is state place winner. You know, they gave him a decent showing, but still, Pope John was too much for him. Pope John's got 1 loss in state, Del Barton, and that's their 6th overall state title. The first 24 years, but now they're down there in Group B, which DePaul had a pretty good run last few years. But Holy Spirit's been, I think, the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But it's kind of been the same story.
Yeah.
They're not balanced enough. Good showing, scored 20 points. There's 20 points enough to get it done now. And like you said, there goes the drama.
Well, non-public B is really in a sad state in South Jersey, and that's not taking anything away from Holy Spirit because it's reality for everybody. St. Joe and
St. James
and Holy Cross.
in Pennsgrove was in the finals a couple of years
Yeah, I mean,
back in the 80s.
St.
Holy
Joe's beat
Spirit-
somebody first round. There were 7 forfeits. I mean, that's just the thing is, and that's they're talking about Holy Spirit.
Well,
they have
the
some
ref
good kids,
got
but they
all-
have pins in their lineup.
You think the ref got paid?
Ref got paid full time. He's out there in 13 minutes.
yeah, it's a good gig if you can get it. Non-public A, championship, Bergen Catholic, #1 team in the state, arguably the best team in the country. Certainly,
You have 11 kids placing states.
could have 11. They won 63-12 over Camden Catholic. You mentioned it, Ralph, before we went to the break, but the discrepancy between North and South Jersey parochials, because Coach Matt Walsh of Camden Catholic said, there was a time we beat Bergen Catholic.
Right.
What changed?
The club atmosphere, and everyone's just going to one school now. There were times where they would go to the discrepancy would be they would go to different schools. Queen of Peace closed. Holy Cross would get some of the milk, but they're traveling. Kids are traveling. Mackenzie's from Wall, right? His brother went to Wall. That's
drop off at Del Barton.
Yeah, right. So look at Don Bosco. I mean, they were right there, and then it's a big win for South Jersey, I would think. Before we pile up on St. Augustine, for St. Augustine to beat St. John Vienna, right? That's a big win for South Jersey.
Yeah.
That's a possible win. They wrestled great, and St. John Vienna beat Hal in the Southern.
Yeah, an individual.
But I'm saying, so there's a win. We can't beat Bergen Catholic right now. I don't know. Maybe it'll fall off.
Well, maybe only one team in the country could beat Bergen Catholic.
Right. So that's nothing to say about Bergen Catholic, but like, should Paulsboro or Hal wrestle them? I don't remember Bergen Catholic knocking the Paulsboro's door down in the 90s. I don't, and they didn't. So when you say that, why wrestle them? Marina could get a match maybe over Mackenzie, and they might win 3 or 4 matches. Yeah. But why do that? You're putting yourself. And if you're going to do it and say, "Oh, I'm not going to shy away from anything," I don't remember Bergen Catholic coming down and wrestling Highland and Paulsboro and Delsey back in those days. So why do it now?
And I think Bergen. I think the only thing I like about Bergen, they put themselves, and Del Barton, they put themselves on the national schedule.
Yeah,
sure.
They really do. But that being said, they're grouped in with the NJSIAA schools, which are not in the prep because they don't have beds to sleep in over there, but they operate on the same plane. Mm-hmm. They really do. They'll get a kid, gravitate. They get one good kid like a Soriano. Other kids gravitate to them.
Here's the thing, too, Brett, though. They put themselves on the national schedule.
Yes.
And that's a huge drawing point. When you're in 8th grade, I'm going to go to John P. Public High School, or I'm going to go to Bergen Catholic and wrestle out in California, which is right.
It's top heavy.
So who wouldn't do that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
The fact of the matter is, they have JV kids that could start for a lot of public schools, but you're going. I mean, I'm sure it's like in football when they go wrestle, when they go play football. Who wouldn't do that? But I just somehow, somewhere, the wrestling South Jersey guys are going to maybe 10 years. Listen, it'll work itself out. If it doesn't, then Bergen Catholic will just be number 1 every year, and then we'll just have be for the public schools.
Right. And we deal with the same issue in terms of football too in the non-publics because there's so many more kids up there too. I mean, the population is so much larger.
Down south, it's Camden Catholic versus St. Augustine, and I know they had it. That match came down to criteria.
Yeah.
There was, I think, on Friday night. Yeah, they had a criteria, but I believe it was a loss of team point.
Yes.
And that was the first criteria, and they won. It was that close a match. But hey, like I said, the mystery that is St. Augustine. Again, they beat St. John Vienna, but then they lost on criteria in the finals. I mean, that's got to be heartbreaking.
That's got to be
the sectional final.
Yeah.
Well, it's really it's a sectional.
Kids and the fans and stuff like that.
Really, it's a sectional semifinal because you just go for one match up there in Toms River.
Yeah.
Right.
To be
and you'll go up there and. Coach Walsh from Camden Catholic, I think, did a brilliant thing. Like he knew he couldn't beat him. Ravano beat Ferrante already. He's got seed over. Why wrestle him? Here's the thing, too. I do want to make sure. In the beginning of the year, Kingsway kind of gave Del Barton a run. Now, Del Barton wasn't ready for him. They had 3 guys absent. But that's wrestling, and that happened. So Kingsway was in a position. They'll never be in a position to be Bergen Catholic. No. They could have 3, 4 guys out. So good for Bergen Catholic. They bring us in as number 1 and 2 team in the country are from New Jersey. So we're getting the limelight there.
And they should be number 1.
Well, look.
They didn't finish up number 1?
No, they're number 2. Why? They're number 2, and they beat Blair.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they lost to another team from I don't know where, but they beat one. But then they beat Seminary, who was 3rd. So you beat the number 1, number 3, and you're number 2. How's that happen?
Well, the other thing too that I want to mention,
you're not going to hear many people crying for Bergen Catholic, though.
No, going back to your point, Ralph, about Del Barton. Del Barton lost by I think 15 or 20 to Bergen Catholic in the first round. Del Barton hammered Pope John.
Yes.
I mean the discrepancy between 5, 2, and 1.
At least
1 and down. I mean it's
at least Camden Catholic and St. Augustine get to get jackets every once in a while. Say South Jersey, you know what I mean?
That's right.
But Del Barton is not going to.
No, they're not.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they start recruiting better. I don't know. But it's going to come down to either they're going to wrestle too much of a national schedule and not be even justified with the NJSA. Like High Point was when they were ridiculous. They didn't make the state playoffs because they wrestled too many out-of-state matches. But I don't know if that's what they're. But I'm going to tell you right now, the national schedule, the tough schedule that they wrestle is ambitious on their part. But it's also part of the recruiting tool.
Yes. But like you said, they get jackets. You think
Right,
they're satin jackets.
right.
They don't get
and
the
you
leather.
You go down. These kids nowadays, like when you go Kingsway or Cayman Catholic, they're going to the BC. So you got zero chance of winning. Maybe they have one or two kids that have a chance of placing. Kenner can win it. So they bring these other kids that get the crappy out. But when you're in 8th grade and you're saying you're going to the Beast, the parents sending them there.
Sure. And guys, the district tournament. Let's hit that real quick. We're getting in here. As coaches, you're looking at the criteria, you're looking at the quality points, you're looking at how seeds are going to shake out. Brett, what stands out to you about that?
All right, the only thing is because if you have a wrestler who's wrestled great all year but hasn't really, wrestled anyone within that caliber who plays in states or won districts, you're just going to get thrown in there. You're going to get a bad seed.
Right.
I know it's districts. I know it's like, hey, we have enough districts and the best guy will win. But sometimes it's not that case because you're in a lower weight class and you just haven't had the opportunity to wrestle anyone. You kind of not. It's not fair. I just don't think it's fair. And it's all about quality points, but the quality points, it all comes from postseason.
Yeah.
That's all those quality points.
Yeah, past experience. And
that's the district seeding. It's all about the postseason. So you're a freshman, you're not getting any quality points.
yeah, and when you look at it, since they restructured this last year and changed everything around, flipped it on its head, upside down, you start seeing these quad meets, you're thinking, why would they go wrestle Donovan Catholic? Or why would they go wrestle Lacey? And it was all for district seeding, and really now you take a look back at the schedule and you say, oh, that's why they drove 2 hours to a quad to wrestle a team
Right,
that
but
nobody's
you don't
ever
think
heard
the
of.
team the guy has high seed is going to try and avoid that?
Well, that's true. It happens all
Here's
the time
thing-
too, right?
Here's the thing about the I know why they put it in. Because, to be honest with you, when Brett and I coached, we researched, we did arguments, we did this, common opponents, this kind of stuff. There are coaches that don't do it. They're not good coaches. They're a bunch of dopes. And our kids got seed over them even though they didn't. Okay, so that's why. But this system, I'm going to give you an example. You got a kid, stays at 132. He was at 106 a year before, took a third in the district. He gets that quality point. He gets 6 seed. Then he got beat by some Joe nobody, and then it just jumps.
The problem is
there's got to be a happy medium.
The problem is it's dope proof. It is. It's dope proof.
It's dope proof.
But here's the thing. Now you're looking at different districts. You can change it around every year because now there's some districts that you're saying, who the heck's going to,
It's not 100%
be a
dope
district
proof.
champ going to regions?
It's not 100% dope proof. Some of the coaches don't put in the
Well, that's true.
And guess what? And that procedure at the meeting goes, coach's late arrival is not grounds to receive.
Well, good. We were late a couple times, though, so we didn't want that one.
But not enough to not receive.
No, not
As long as you were there at the end is what
did know
matters,
that.
Ralph.
As long as we were jockeying for our votes.
We didn't get the hospitality at the.
Our buddy Dom has a couple comments. Montini's, who beat Bergen Catholic, is a round robin. Because of Blair tournament wins and head-to-heads at the Beast, they put them ahead of Bergen Catholic, even though Bergen Catholic beat them.
Was the team from Illinois or were they undefeated? That
I
beat
don't know
Bergen
that.
Catholic.
I would imagine they were.
I think they're ranked fifth.
Yeah, I think they were ranked
Montana's
fifth.
ranked fifth. They beat Seminary the same day. Seminary is ranked third.
Right.
So how does Blair just jump them? Blair, I don't.
Well,
Well, we know Dave Bell's created a machine.
You're not
right?
going to get people crying for Bergen Catholic, but you'll be back in next year, and there'll be Blair and them and Wyoming, Seminary, and the same top five teams, just like it's going to be same top 5 teams in the state and same top 5 teams in South Jersey.
But also, I do agree with this guy, Mr. Greg Capella. He said we're as good as anyone. We should get an ESPN show. What do you think about that?
I like that Capella.
Wrestling on
character.
ESPN be great for sport. Maybe we'd have enough people to fill the weight classes.
It was on ESPN
We
too.
dropped the weight classes.
And Kyle Snyder lost to
The head
Adam
of
Kuhn, the best wrestler in the world. Lost.
Federation in wrestling, Mike Moore, my college coach. I got to give him a call.
Yeah, give him a call, Ralph.
Yeah, he didn't really
Can
like
you
me.
get us to the studio?
Yeah, he didn't really
We'll
like
bring
me.
Julian along with us.
All right, guys, there's 32 districts. Everybody get out to your local district, see what's going on, see if you can pick some upsets for regions. There's going to be a lot of action here the next couple of weeks. This is the best time of the year for individual wrestling specifically. In the meantime, Wednesday at 7, watch Varsity Voice here with Frankie Stokes. Mondays at 7, watch 3 in the Key with Richie Blyweiss. Thursdays at 7, In the Paint with Nikki Jones. You can listen to this show archived on podcasts on iTunes, and also any information, anything you need, links, stories, photos, archive videos, go to thesfbn.com.
And if you miss it, you're dope.
And you miss it, you're
That was
dope.
a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of avenues. So if you do miss the show, you're dope.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. You heard it here last.
A lot of dopes coaching when we were coaching. We get seeds over them. That's why.
Ralph, thanks for joining us, man.
I had a great time. I could sit around and talk wrestling all night long.
I know you could. Brett,
See,
I do. Can I say something before we go? I would like to congratulate Tom McConnell and the Gloucester City Lions for getting the
That's right.
career 100th win. It is as impressive to me that they got 100 wins as anybody got 1,000. They had no program 7 years ago. Tommy came in there, no midget program. They were 1-19, and then last year they upset a Pennsville team for the conference title. This year they're competitive, and Tommy McConnell and his staff and that school is doing a great job. Congratulations, Tom, who I think is one of the better coaches in the state.
That Pennsville team was without its coach, who happens to be sitting right here, who had been asked to, I think, to leave.
There was some dope rule interpretation by the refs.
It was a record.
Real quick, Kyle Packer says Cooper Pontelandolfo from Cherokee. He's a freshman, has a lot of points. It's not all past performance.
That's called the outlier.
Yeah.
Because that kid's good. That's called an
Yes.
outlier.
He's great. And
How about this? Can I say something before we go? The kid, 106-pounder for St. Augustine, is very good. He beat Rosano. Rosano has no problem. He could be the 7th or 8th seed in that district, and he could be the best kid in the district.
we'll be talking about him next week.
Yep.
Last but not least, Tom Basile says, and we all agree, happy birthday, Brett. It was yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, Big Daddy. And congratulations to Brett. He had best birthday gift ever. His Eagles won.
Yeah, Eagles
Lifelong
Super
Eagles
Bowl.
fan. No one was happier than
I
this
should be
guy.
congratulated for the Eagles. On the
You
Super Bowl.
really were
Put my
responsible
time
for it.
All right, guys. We'll see you here next week, and hopefully we'll have as lively a conversation as we had this week. We got plenty of good wrestling to go. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Trible from the Courier Post.